Timing is everything in the video game industry, as a bad release date for a game could spell disaster. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 games that came out at the wrong time. Are you a fan of this video? Be sure to subscribe to catch our latest show, The Bolt to E3. 4 gamers take an epic road trip from San Fran to LA, gaming all the way. Coming soon to WatchMojo. For this list, we're looking at the games that had been hurt sales-wise when they came out for public distribution. This could be because of a better or more popular game being released around the same time, hampering its sales, or stealing the spotlight. We're also looking at games that were released on dates that proved to be controversial.
Don't get too excited. We need to get the hell out of here.
Number 10, Vampire: The Masquerade, Bloodlines. We've covered this action RPG before, and its struggles are well documented. There was more than a couple of warning signs that suggested that the game was too early for release, but on November 16th, 2004, that's what it did. Even if the stiff competition from the anticipated releases of Half-Life 2, Halo 2, and Metal Gear Solid 3, all of which were released in the same month, wasn't a factor, the game suffered from several bugs and other technical problems on day one. Despite developer Troika going under as a result of these problems and poor sales, the game's bugs were fixed over time, and the unused content was added with fan support, which still made the game a cult hit.
Let the penalty commence.
Number 9, Air Traffic Chaos. Known as I Am an Air Traffic Controller in Japan, there is nothing really chaotic about this airline sim where players take the helm of a control tower. Part of the successful and usually Japanese exclusive air traffic controller series, the game is decent if not inoffensive. So why is it number 9 on this list, you might be asking? Well, the answer lies in the North American localization and its release on September 8th of 2008. To change a game's title to include chaos and have 747s fly haphazardly to get more eyeballs in its direction is one thing. To do that while have the game come out mere days from the anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks is kinda thoughtless. Number 8, Shantae. Created by WayForward, this handheld Metroidvania platformer was loved by critics for its colorful animation, level design, great graphics, and solid gameplay with an old-school NES aesthetic. Unfortunately, the game sold poorly, and part of the reason should be attributed to the publisher, Capcom, sitting on the game for months. When Shantae did come out on June 2nd, 2002 for the Game Boy Color, the portable system was in its dying days, as gamers were already focused on the newer Game Boy Advance. The Half-Genie hero wasn't to be denied, as 3 highly rated sequels and a digital re-release of this game for the 3DS would eventually give her the fanbase and franchise she deserved. Number 7, Mad Max.
I'll follow you, because I think fate favors, old chum. And you need both of us.
After being in development for years, the action/vehicular combat game starring everyone's favorite road warrior was slated for a 2014 release. Those plans changed, and the game came out months after the film Mad Max Fury Road. This was a shrewd bit of marketing, as those who pre-ordered the game received a Blu-ray copy of the film.
Praise be! Praise be!
On September 1st, 2015, the date of the game's release, it had to go head-to-head with Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, which was also releasing that day. Topping it all off, gamers were getting a serious case of sandbox game fatigue, and there was definitely a lot of sand in this box. Number 6, Fallout 4. Coming out on November 10th, 2015, this long-awaited 4th installment of this post-apocalyptic open-world RPG had a tough time with Witcher 3: Wild Hunt. With its beautiful visuals, updates in gameplay, and compelling narrative, Witcher 3 proved superior to Fallout's gameplay and visuals, which in turn were kinda similar to Fallout 3, not to mention a serviceable storyline and technical issues at launch. As Witcher 3 nearly swept most of the Game of the Year awards for 2015, including our own, Fallout's flaws were fully exposed. Had Bethesda been able to get it out the gate in 2014, it might have been Game of the Year. But sadly, compared to the polish of The Witcher 3, its flaws were on full display.
What they wanted was the perfect machine.
Number 5, Shadow Hearts.
I'm honored that you remember me so well.
With its Judgment Ring battle system and likable protagonist, Shadow Hearts is a JRPG that was popular enough to spawn a trilogy. considering it launched on December 12, 2001, a mere 5 days before the highly anticipated Final Fantasy X was released. The series is lucky that it wasn't dead on arrival. While the series has a devoted following, Final Fantasy X's release completely overshadowed it and diverted away any of the attention that it could have had from PS2 owners and JRPG fans. This all could have been avoided if they chose to release the game, on any other month that a main Final Fantasy game was not coming out on too. Number 4, Titanfall 2. Gamers dig giant robots, especially when mixed with gunplay. An FPS with the added hook of piloting these mechs called Titans, this sequel continued the trend of giving players an excellent gameplay experience. So it feels like a punch to the gut to have EA release the game on October 28, 2016, sandwiched between their own FPS heavy hitter Battlefield 1 and their main competitor Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. We get it, the game is different enough to stand out amongst its peers. The problem is that FPS fans, including fans of Battlefield and Call of Duty, can only play so many games at once. Hopefully EA has learned their lesson with this one. Don't make two good games compete against each other and a competitor at the same time. Number 3, Sin. Released on October 31st, 1998 for PC, Sin was a first-person shooter set in the near future. It had great interactivity with its in-game world, solid characters by 1998 standards, and a level of detail that was more than impressive. The only problem is, there was this little game called Half-Life that released 1 week later that sorta stole the spotlight.
Hey, what the hell are you doing down here? Get topside!
To top it off, Sin had bugs on release, and while these issues were fixed, it left a bad impression. Its innovation wasn't enough against Half-Life's own, and it took a backseat to the superior shooter. While Sin is fondly remembered by those who played it, one can only theorize how much better it would have done if it had arrived just a bit earlier. Number 2, EverQuest 2. Being the sequel to the most successful MMORPG for its time, it made sense for Sony Online Entertainment to make a new and improved installment. Released on November 9th, 2004 for the PC, EverQuest 2 boasted better graphics, PvP matchups, and voice acting before that was the industry standard.
Greetings.
Weeks later, World of Warcraft came out, but come on man, this is friggin' EverQuest. It turns out that EQ2 was pretty divisive amongst its fan base, due to many of them wanting to stick with the first game. Add in the game's hardware requirements and Warcraft's lore, colorful visuals, and battle system, and WoW became the MMO of choice for casual players. While both are still technically active, Warcraft is a media juggernaut, and EverQuest 2 is just kinda there.
Greetings, mortal.
Number 1, Battleborn.
Welcome to Tempest, the heart of what's left of the Generate Imperium. Glad you could join us.
The first-person shooter market is vicious, and it's good to stand out if you want your game to survive. In Battleborn, Gearbox not only made a shooter with MOBA elements, but also made a huge group of diverse characters with different styles of gameplay. Setting a release date for May 3rd, 2016, Blizzard's Overwatch, an FPS with an equally colorful cavalry, set a release date just 3 weeks later. Knowing they couldn't outspend the company behind Warcraft, Gearbox held firm on Battleborn's release. Battleborn did well until Overwatch released. After that, Battleborn servers were almost deserted, which for an online-focused game is pretty much a death sentence. Well, you tried, Gearbox. Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.